Hola mi gente, ¿cómo están? Aquí me llamo Alba Mar, me puedes decir Alba. El canal es Seriela, estamos aquí para hablar de libros y algunos de ellos en español desde Puerto Rico. Hi, my name is Alba Mar, you may call me Alba. This channel name is Seriela and we're here to talk about books and some of them in Spanish from Puerto Rico. And it's been a long time no see, right? Yes, been very, very busy. I want to thank everybody for their wonderful comments, heartwarming comments congratulating the Puerto Rican people for something that is frankly historic. It is. It's historic. The unity, the massive mobilization that occurred in Puerto Rico to oust Ricky Rosselló. Yay! We did it. Yeah. But it's a mess. It's still a mess, of course, because we live in a colony. And it's very complicated. So I'm putting the timer so that it doesn't take a long time. So yeah, let's put this in perspective. What's been happening in Puerto Rico. Ricardo Rosselló, who was our governor, the colonial administrator of Puerto Rico, resigned. He resigned at 11:59 on the 24th, almost the 25th. You guys saw the last video. July 25th is a very significant date in Puerto Rican history. Almost made it to the 25th, but his resignation would not be official until the 2nd, last Friday, at 5 o'clock. So for all that time, from the 25th of July until the 2nd of August, we didn't know what would happen. No idea. Lots of speculation. It was like the ultimate cliffhanger. Actually, yes. A lot of media manipulation, a lot of rumors about who would substitute him, what kind of backroom deals were going on. Why was it taking so long? And as he did on the 24th, he did also on the 2nd. And, well, in the meantime, he told the people that he was selecting. He, the ousted governor, was selecting a former resident commissioner by the name of Pedro Pierluisi, who at the time was not a member of his cabinet, wasn't an elected official at the moment. As a matter of fact, he was working officially, documented in the Capitol building, as a lobbyist for a number of multinational companies. Yeah. And also works with the legal firm that represents the fiscal control board that was imposed on Puerto Rico, yeah, in 2016. So that's who he picked. And not only is he a lawyer for the junta and a lobbyist for a lot of corporations, he is also the lobbyist for the coal company, the toxic ashes, the coal ash, yeah. So, where do you think I was on Sunday? Protesting. His first official protest. After he was sworn in in a private residence, no public present. At first he said that he would submit to confirmation hearings with the Senate because our representatives already confirmed him after saying they wouldn't. And at the last minute, he says that he wouldn't. He didn't have to submit to confirmation hearings. It is a mess. It is a real mess. So yeah, that's how things are now. Another thing that I want to make clear is that I know that everybody is very happy that there was no loss of life in Puerto Rico. But to say that there was no violence is exaggerating a little bit. Because there was state violence. Pellets were shot at protesters, tear gas, pepper spray. So yeah, there were summary arrests with no charges. People kept in prison, in the jails, for more than 24 hours, some of them, without charge, and then let go. But it didn't work because people were still on the street until he left. I'll recommend somebody who's become a celebrity here in Puerto Rico, very much loved, is the CBS correspondent David Begnaud. Just, go to any of his social media platforms that have to do with Puerto Rico. And because he was in the chat too. Yeah, they offended him in the chat also. But that's not why he's a good reporter. He's been interviewing lots and lots of people, and you form your own opinion, Okay, just a few bookish facts about what's been happening with this summer of 2019 movement. The bookish facts have to do with some of the authors. For example, my favorite book that gave me a lot of hope at the beginning of this year, El Resplandor de Luzbella. The author, Juan López Bauzá, is interviewed weekly on the radio station that I listen to. And he lives in the Viejo San Juan, where a lot of the protests were happening and where the protesters were tear gassed a few times. And the residents in El Viejo San Juan were affected by that tear gas. And I imagine that he was very much concerned. As a matter of fact, in the last interview, you could hear his voice. He was still affected by the tear gases. And I guess he was very much concerned for his elderly parents. So yeah, that's one bookish fact about the movement. Another bookish fact is that the book that I was reading, and I got halfway through, La Deuda Odiosa, The Odious Debt, by Jose Nicolás Medina Fuentes. He's been very active on social media, talking about the odious debt and where this movement can go forward in the future. And some of the ideas that he puts forward in this book are being implemented across the island right now. There have been assemblies where people have voiced their concerns and community necessities, and where they think the movement should go in the future. Looking forward to decolonization of Puerto Rico, of course, because a lot of what's happening is because we are a colony. Another bookish fact, that same day that Ricardo Rosselló left Fortaleza, and the new governor was sworn in that same day. Eduardo Lalo, which is a prize-winning author in Puerto Rico, this is a series of his articles, newspaper articles. He's a columnist also, as well as a novelist. This one is called Intervenciones. It was a compilation of his articles. One of his articles, written in February 18th, on February 18th of 2017, even before Maria, this is 6 weeks after Ricardo Rosselló was sworn in. Not even 2 months after he was sworn in. And get this, the title of this article that he wrote in 2017. El cuatrenio de Ricardo Rosselló ha terminado. Ricardo Rosselló's term has ended. And he goes on in this article, yeah, it's like prophetic. He goes on in this article to point out the reasons why he thinks that Ricardo Rosselló's term had ended before the 2 months were out. The most salient point in the article is that he hit the road running with a lot of neoliberal and austerity measures. And then, to top it off, he had a huge caucus with the government, with private industry and private interests. Yeah. So we know what he was doing all along. Yeah. But I need help, people. It's been grueling. I need help. What do you do when you really want to read? Because I want to read. I had wanted to read all along, but it was very difficult to concentrate. It was very difficult to focus with everything that was happening all around. With the suspense and the tension that we were living under. Plus the protests and the calls for people to be out on the street. So yeah, I was very busy, but also my brain was like going a mile a minute. And if it hadn't been for my buddy reads and for the accountability that I felt towards the commitments that I had made, I wouldn't have been able to read what I read in July. And what did I read? I read Esmeralda Santiago's When I Was Puerto Rican. It was around here somewhere. I left it somewhere. See? And really, really enjoyed my buddy read with Heidi and with Doris. I was very pleased that they liked the book. And I was surprised at how much first, because this is a read for me, but I read it in English first, now I read it in Spanish. I was surprised at how much I had forgotten in the decades between the two readings, and how I really enjoyed Esmeralda Santiago's style of writing. The character of Esmeralda, which is herself, of course, is a wonderful, spunky, intelligent, courageous, and sensitive little girl. And we follow her story from when she's like 4 years old, living in the mountains the countryside of Puerto Rico in very, very poor circumstances. And we follow her and her numerous family until she finally arrives in Brooklyn at the age of 13 or 14 and fights to remain in 8th grade with her faulty English. I keep telling people, we study English in Puerto Rico. We have no need to feel embarrassed by our accents, because if people go to the United States and speak with accents all over the place, especially in New York, and they're not bothered by it, we shouldn't be bothered by it either. But Esmeralda knew that from a very young age. And I love the way the author portrays so many different elements of Puerto Rican culture and the Puerto Rican identity, and that that conflict, that very real sense of being uprooted, that someone feels when they have to leave a place that they've loved. So that was when I was Puerto Rican, Esmeralda Santiago. I think I've decided there's going to be a play in San Juan based on the novel, and I've decided no, I'm not going. I just want to keep remembering the book and my pleasure at reading it the way it was. And then, so thanks Heidi and thanks Doris. I really enjoyed the buddy read. Then I've been reading José Saramago's Las Intermitencias de la Muerte, Death with Interruptions. And I've made it through. I'm not through yet, but I've gone through it little by little, despite the fact that I'm having difficulty concentrating and focusing. But I really want to finish it. Why? Because it is such a masterful send-up, satirical look at society. And with things that are happening here in Puerto Rico, I can, of course, I think of my own experience when I read. Sorry, shoot me. But I see so many parallels here about industry, about the mafia, about corruption, about the views about death, and how people philosophize back and forth about death. I've been laughing and chuckling all the way through because I love satire. I think it's the only way that we've gotten through all of this with a lot of humor. So yeah. And then I have a buddy read this month with Judy over at Reader Woman. Go visit her. And I'm reading José Saramago for Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verses project. So visit him. He's going to have a movie with this too. And then I'm reading Persuasion by Jane Austen with Judy over at Reader Woman. Go give her a visit. And I want to do that because it's my birthday month. So, as a birthday present, please leave me your suggestions on what I can do to keep my focus and concentration so that I can get some reading done during this very tumultuous time in Puerto Rican history. Take care, people. Happy reading. Thank you for your time. Cuídense mucho, mi gente, sigan leyendo. Adiós.